what's up, everyone? Welcome to Life in a Show. I'm your host, Jason Wojo. I am joined by my Polish co-host, Polish Peter. And on the Life in a Show, we help people make more, work less, and live better lives. That's what it's all about, man. Like, we're here to help you in any area of life, really, that isn't what it should be. And so on today's episode, Peter and I are going to talk about something that I think is, it's gotten a little bit cliche, but we've been talking about it long before it's become popular. And that is having your why. How do you know what your why is? How do you identify it? How do you leverage it? And how do you use it to really get the life you want to live? Man, I'm excited for this episode.
Why?
No, nice, listen. Nice.
See what I did there? Okay. I wonder if we're the only ones laughing right now and everybody's like, what?
These guys are a bunch of buffoons.
No, but here's the important thing about this. And my students, for instance, know about this because that why is the fuel that will get you to that vision. And this is very important. The why is the fuel. You need a fuel to get somewhere.
Well, let's back up, man. What is a why? Like, what is a why?
It's a 3-letter word.
Yep. What else?
Yeah. Well, the other thing is you got to really dig down into why you want what you want.
Yeah, it's a reason.
It's a reason. It's a big reason to figure out deep down inside that touches your core, that touches your heart, that really gets you emotional, gets you going to get to where you want to go. Because a lot of people and, students or anybody that we have at a, 3-day Get Life Getaways, they have these things that they put on their vision, right? And there is no emotional, no strong reason why they really want it. And then they wonder, why am I having such a hard time getting to it? Yeah. Why is it so hard for me to reach it? Because life gets in the way. I go home, we finish our 3-day Get Life Getaway on Saturday. Sunday, they have a break. Monday, they get back home. And it's the typical life that they had before the weekend, right? Because they get back into sort of the normalcy of the life. And life gets in the way because you got to go get a job. Not get a job. You got to get back to the job or whatever the routine you had before. And now all those things you put on your vision are starting to get pushed to the side because, you have 24 hours in a day. And how are you going to fit it? Where are you going to put it? What are you going to do with it? How are you going to do it? And that's what the why is. It allows you to get that fuel to get you going.
Well, I think what you said is really important is like, if we look at almost anything we want to do in life, anything substantial, at least, there's going to be some resistance. There's going to be some work. There's going to be a degree of effort and energy that you're going to have to expend towards that goal. So whether that's a better relationship with your spouse, whether it is, getting in better shape, whether it is, climbing the business ladder of success, however you define that, all of these things require energy. And without a reason why you're doing it, without a true reason that resonates with you, and I want to dig into that a little bit too, like it has to be a reason that is very, very personal to you, you're just not going to do it. I mean, how many of us have said, oh, I want to lose 5 pounds or 10 pounds or 20 pounds, and nothing ever happens, right? We give it a lackluster effort that is short term, it doesn't last. And all of a sudden we just go back to the certain way of being that we were prior to that. And so I think in some of these cases, we just don't have a big enough reason why it's important to us. And it becomes a should rather than a must.
Right.
And Tony says, don't should all over yourself. Like, right. He says it has to be a must. And so I think that's part of it.
You got to say it with an accent. Don't should all over yourself. That's how you got to say it.
Okay, now that sounds much more legitimate. Thank you. But it's true. Like, listen, like you can say you want all this stuff. I have people approach me and talk to me all the time about this. Hey, I want to do this. I want to do that. And I'll say, why? And if they can't answer me, it tells me that like it seems cool on the surface, but they haven't really embraced the importance of making this a must. And therefore, unfortunately, they're in most cases unlikely to achieve it, especially bigger things, especially things that get us out of our comfort zone, that break our habits, that help us kind of move towards whatever we want. Like, you just got to have a really strong reason.
Right. So one of the things you finally said something smart, but one of the things that, and you mentioned, I want to make sure that the audience gets that. a lot of students and a lot of people come to me, is like, how do I know if my why is strong enough? Like this is the why, like this is the thing. The way you know that it's strong enough, that's the thing, is what you just said. It's not a should anymore, it's a must. The reason behind it, that why, makes that thing that you're trying to achieve a must. Like it's, the world can be falling apart and you're going to go after this, right? It's a must thing, because there's a lot of, think about it this way. Right now in your life, what is it that you are absolutely doing without any wavering? It's a must for you, because there are certain things in your life that you're doing that are a must, right? For instance, simple thing is brushing your teeth. For some people, it's a should. For some people, it's a must, right? They do it every single day like a religious thing. In the morning and evening. Some people do it, just one day. I don't know. But the thing is, it is a must. And you can, if you look at your life, there are certain things that you're doing that are becoming must. For you, Wojo, going to the gym is a must. Why is your going to the gym a must for you?
Well, I don't want to get too far into that yet, but one of the reasons is, like, for me, that why has become part of my identity, and I don't want to get on that path yet. But for me, I feel better. I'm more confident. See, like I was always, for instance, the gym, I was always the skinny kid who was, I'm not going to say I was fully picked on or bullied, but I had a couple of instances where that happened to me, and I always hated being the small guy. And when I started gaining muscle, like it just gave me a completely different outlook on life. I started getting attention from people. I started getting approval and recognition. I started getting stronger. It gave me positive feedback, and I got addicted to the sensation of progress and getting better, which spilled into every other area of my life. And like, it just became something I embraced, and I love it. Conversely though, someone else who doesn't really like working out, they're not going to do it. If they don't get the benefits from it that I perceive. Now, listen, they could have, this is important. They might get the same results in terms of what they would get out of working out, but it doesn't matter to them. It's not important to them. For me, I had the background and the experience of being on the other side of that. And so for me, it's something that I really embraced and made a difference. Now we can also go deeper with this, right? So you can say, well, why is it important for you to have self-confidence? Like, what does that do for you? Or why is it important for you to get recognition or acknowledgement or acceptance? And so the why sometimes doesn't stop. Many times it doesn't stop with one layer deep, right? We can go deeper. Toyota pioneered this 5 whys approach. It's called the 5 whys. You can Google it, where they essentially dug down 5 levels so that when you answered why you want something, they said, well, why do you want that? And then why do you want that? And they did that 5 times to get to what they believed to be the root cause. And they did this in their business. And so you do this with students really well, Peter, as well. And in a second, I'd like for you to give an example. Maybe let's talk about a couple examples of whys for people, and maybe you can think of some of your student examples. But before we say that, I just really want to reiterate, whatever it is you're going to go after, there's going to be challenges. There are going to be delays. There'll be frustration. And unless your why is big enough and important enough to you, you're just going to give up and you're going to stop. The excuses will be bigger than your why. And so that's what keeps people in place, is I don't think they've given enough thought to really why they want something. And instead it's just kind of a nice thing to have. Like, it'd be nice to do this, but it's not like a real must.
Right. Because there is no emotional, visceral connection to that goal that you're trying to achieve. And the why, I think, makes that connection for you. Well, yeah.
And if you ask me, like, so for instance, like I go to the gym. I love the feeling of being like just pumped up. I feel, this is gonna sound hilarious, and I'm probably gonna get crap for this, but I feel just powerful, and I feel manly and masculine. And, I can't go out at, I think I was born in the wrong generation. I was supposed to be like a knight or something, and, and with like a sword and riding horses, but I can't, like, that's not the world we live in today. So my battlefield, my way to get out stress even, is to go lift stuff and put it down. Right. And so there's so many, but so this is why, like, when you find that something that that gives you a lot of things in your life, I think that's what helps you do it. But you got to find those. You got to find what that is for you.
Right. And, interesting. I'm not going to make the joke, what you just said. I'm just going to let it go over, let it slide, because there's so much material in there I could do.
Oh, I'm sure I'll hear it someday.
I don't want to do it publicly. Okay. But anyway, listen, I go to the gym too, and my why is different, and that's okay. And because it's got to be very personal to you. So Wojo mentioned at the beginning earlier about the 5 whys, the Toyota 5 whys. So if you go like 5 layers deep, my, let's say, level 3 why for going to the gym is that this is my time during the day where I get to put on my, music in my ears, and it's my time. Like I get to disconnect from the world, and it's like my refresher, right? My mind I just go and lose myself in this particular, my own space, if that makes any sense, because I'm, coaching all day. I'm on the calls all day. I'm, doing business, from 10 to 2:30, 3 o'clock. It's all business. And then when I go in the afternoon, it's my time to refresh. That's my level 3. Now, if you go level 5, I go to the gym because remember, we talked about it at the 3-day event.
Would you mind if I share that story?
Well, I don't know. Maybe. Go ahead. Do I have a choice?
Well, this I think is going to be really powerful for people. And so long story short, Peter wanted to get in better shape, and he said he wanted to, but this is years ago. I mean, this is a long time ago. And at that point in time, you really you said you wanted to, but you really weren't doing it. And so as Peter's friend, I was trying to kind of help him along that journey. And I said, Peter just did air quotes there if you're not watching us right now. And so I'd say wow, man, why don't you do this? Go get a DEXA scan to see what % body fat you have. And that way, when you make progress, you can look back and you'll feel really good about it because you can actually measure how much muscle or fat you're making a change on. And so he goes and gets it, and he comes back with a number that is surprisingly high for him. And I was surprised too. I won't disclose it right now. You'll have to be a special insider to get that information. And so, but it was much higher than he thought. And actually he jokes, dude, you thought the machine is broken.
I actually argued with the lady for a little bit. I'm like, are you sure you guys calibrated today? She goes, yes. Whatever.
So Peter tells me this, he tells me the percentage, and I'm like, wow, man, that's actually a lot higher than I thought it was. And he's like, yeah, me too. I said, well, and so what I was doing in my head is I'm like, how can I help him with this information, make it become a why? And so I said, wow, did you know that all of these things, like you have an increased risk for heart attack, stroke, high blood pressure, diabetes, all these things. I'm going down the list, and I'm listening for a response from him. And he was like, oh gosh, yeah. I was like, yeah, that stinks. And so it hadn't hit in it. It hadn't clicked for him yet as to why he needed to take this seriously. And then all of a sudden I thought of something, and this may sound mean to some of you listening right now, but it really made a huge change for Peter. Is I know, because Peter's my best friend, how important his kids are to him, and that he's just a dad who goes over and above and beyond for everything with his kids. And I said, man, so who's going to walk your daughter down the aisle when you die early because of this? And it was silence. It was crickets. And that's when I knew that we hit the why. We hit the why for him to get in shape. And so from that point forward, we'd go do these Get a Life getaways. We'd do our business builder workshops, things like that. And to this day, when we used to go, I'd be out before we'd teach, and I'd be in the gym and Peter'd be sleeping. Now he gets up before me, and he's at the gym, and I'm catching up with him. And so he hit his why. And so that's what we're talking about here. What is that deep why for you that will get you out of bed, that will get you out of your routine, that will get you moving towards what you really want, regardless of, what you tried to do in the past? This is why Peter, for instance, I know we're talking a lot about health here, but it's just a great illustration. Someone who can't stop putting salt on their food until they have a heart attack, and all of a sudden, it's not an issue anymore.
Yeah, it's the same thing. But you just mentioned like when you giving me the heart attacks and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that sounds bad,
but it wasn't real.
It's not what's not real. And think about it. A lot of people who go to the doctor, for instance, when they're obese or whatever it might be, and doctor says you're gonna get a heart attack, but you gotta stop smoking. You gotta stop smoking.
Yeah,
you're gonna get lung cancer. Yeah. It's a very similar kind of a thing right there. The minute something very personal is for that particular person, maybe someone close to them has, gets lung cancer or something traumatic happens in their life or whatever, something that maybe not traumatic, but it has a big impact on that particular person. Boom, it switches.
Yeah.
I'll give you another why. So my ex-wife, when we were married, when she would smoke cigarettes, and the day that she found out that she was pregnant with our first, that day she quit smoking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, there was a big shift, a big why that just changed for her.
Right.
Before she was just, it is what it is kind of thing. And now, boom, right there, done and over with.
Yep. So I'll give you another example of a why. Here's another fitness example. So I was coaching a girl once who was a self-proclaimed chocolate addict, and she was a nurse, and she'd worked night shifts, and she'd go into the break room at night. And of course, like everyone brings in their kids' candy and their candy and chocolate and all kinds of snacks and goodies. And so she would pig out, feel terrible about it. And then the next morning would go to the gym and exercise like an insane person for like 2 or 3 hours, and just had this terrible cycle of over and over again, overeating and then over exercising out of guilt because of the food intake. And so I started working with her, and we tried a couple different things and they weren't working. And then I found out that she wanted to be in a relationship. She was single. And so I said, great, tell me about the guy you would like to date. Who would you like as your partner? And she started describing the guy, and I mentioned, okay, and so would he be into working out too? And she said, oh, definitely. I said, would he be interested in a partner who didn't have any food discipline? And would he be disciplined with his food? And she's like, oh no, I want him to eat healthy and have control over the way he ate. And she realized that he wouldn't be the target guy. Her dream guy would not be interested in somebody who did what she did. And because she wanted a relationship more than anything else, and that was much more important to her than chocolate, she literally stopped this cycle cold turkey. And by the way, she's married now to this guy, because she had a why. That relationship with the perfect guy who was what she was really desired much more than any kind of food, was the most important thing that drove her towards making that change in her behavior.
Right. One thing that I don't think you mentioned is that before she figured out that why, eating the chocolates and all that kind of stuff, because she wanted to have that relationship during that particular process. The whole time she wanted that relationship.
Right.
That chocolates, although she was self-sabotaging herself, so not to deal with, not to be disappointed, there was fear and all that. The minute she got the why and it was strong enough for her, all of a sudden there was a shift that happened for her to be able to go and stop eating and working out and all that kind of stuff. So the man that she finds is pretty much the man that he's looking for, that woman. And so that's why it's so important to have that fuel, to have that why created for yourself. So
can I pause here for 1 second? It just struck me, man. A why can be something positive that you want, or it can be something negative that you want to avoid. So let me repeat that. A why can be something positive that you want to experience, or something negative you want to avoid. Because everyone's motivated a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, and that's very important too. So you got to know what kind of a motivation do you get, or someone that in your life that you're looking to help them out with or whatever. So are they motivated by the positive, the win, the reward, or they're motivated by the consequence, the bad thing, something that has a bad impact? And a lot of people, for the lack of a better word, are motivated by the consequence. Yeah. And so that's the part one of that.
Well, that's why, for instance, somebody who quits smoking or gives up on sugar or salt after a heart attack, after they don't have a heart attack for a while, that fear is gone, the consequence is gone. So they revert back to the way they were sometimes.
Right. Yep. That's what happens. So yeah. So think about it, listeners, right now, as you're listening to this episode, think about what is it, maybe it's on your vision or something that you've been trying to achieve, some kind of a goal, and it's just not happening or it's not working as well. And ask yourself, why do I want this? And just start, pull out a piece of paper. If you don't have someone, close to you, or if you know, like a coach or somebody that can actually ask you those questions, because you have to use, when you're doing this exercise, you have to use a hat of kind of like a inventory, like someone who is challenging, that you coachable, those kinds of things, right? Because if you are being defensive in that exercise, it's not going to work. If you're going to try to explain why you want something, right, make it sound good, it's not going to work. So you got to be very straight with yourself, very authentic with yourself, very coachable with yourself when you're doing this exercise. So you pull out a piece of paper, write down the goal that you were looking to achieve at the top, and then underneath it, write the question, why do I want that? And then first thing that pops into your head, don't try to filter it. Don't try to figure out what it's like and how it needs to be, sound good or anything like that. First thing pops in and just write down, this is why I want it. I want this because blah, blah, blah. Then the next question asks, why do I want that particular answer that you just answered? Why do I want that? Why is that important to me? And then you answer that question. Then you keep going next level, next level, next level. And typically it's about 5 levels deep. But what you need to get to is you need to get to the level that hits you in here. Now, here's a caveat, because sometimes what I see people, they say, well, I want to go and make, $100,000 or make money in my business to spend more time with the family, to go on vacation with the family. And I'll ask, well, why do I want it? Why do you want this? Well, because I want to spend time with my family. Or why do I want that? And then they get stuck in that answer. Like, I want to spend time with my family. So what I want you to go in that particular time is just go deeper level. Just keep going deeper. There's a deeper reason. If you get stuck at some kind of an answer, like you think this is the deepest level, but it's not hitting you emotionally, look, there's something deeper there. You got to keep going a little bit deeper, and you're going to find out what that is. And it's a lot easier to do it with someone, someone else asking you questions, like a coach, because they can, the tonality, how they ask it, what specifically they say in the words, sometimes it makes a difference. But if you have to do it yourself, try it on and see how it works.
Man, that's great. And I just want to finish this up with one other caution that you mentioned in the example you used. Make sure you're honest with yourself. Make sure because you said, I want to spend more time with my family. Okay, well, what does that have to do with making $100,000? Like, so make sure we've heard this before. Like, why do you want a nicer car? Oh, because it's safer for my family. Really? Like, so make sure you're being honest with yourself with this. Be totally transparent, be vulnerable, be authentic, and keep asking those questions like Peter asked, and you will get to the answer. Well, listen,
one more thing. It's okay for that why to be completely 100% selfish. Because some people feel like, because if I'm selfish, I'm being bad, right? That's okay. Give you a little secret. We're pretty much all selfish. The stuff that we do, the reason why we do stuff, there is some internal thing that we want to get out of this. We have these needs that we want to go after. So if it's a selfish thing, because I want to make $100,000, because I want everybody to look at me like, I'm the gang, kind of a millionaire, right? Best kid on the block. I'm most significant. Everybody loves me, or whatever it might be. I'm the, fun creator, all kinds of stuff. Fine. As long as it touches you right here in your heart.
Yep. Awesome. Well, hope you enjoyed the episode. We would love to see you as part of this conversation in the Life Inner app. If you would like, go ahead on over to lifeinner.com, download it for your Android or iPhone device, and share with us what's going on with your why. Like, is there something that you can identify and tell us, hey, I want to do this and here's why? That'd be awesome. And I think it would spark a great conversation. We'd love to have you over there. As always, we would also love to hear from you in terms of a rating or review or comments or feedback, because that allows us to reach more people and change more lives. Until next time, start working on that why, and we'll see you next week.